A lone lantern flickers, casting long shadows across Marin's cottage as dawn struggles to break through the heavy fog. Sleepless, her face a canvas of worry, Marin sits as a voice whispers, "Not alone," Marin whispers. "Then who?" As a sudden, sharp knock echoes through the cottage, the flame tilting. Marin opens her cottage door, a wave of thick fog swirling into the small space, obscuring the familiar. A tall, hooded figure stands motionless on the path. "Marin, the fog has chosen you." "Chosen me for what?" Marin asks, lantern light dancing wildly as the figure reveals. "To finish what was started." The hooded stranger retreats, unveiling a path into the fog-laden forest, its depths unknown and foreboding. Colorless, shimmering eyes pierce the gloom, their milky depths reflecting the lantern's glow with eerie intensity. With the lantern pulsing warmly, I inhale deeply, stepping into the fog, ready to know the voice I've followed.
Marin stands at the village's edge, where an impossibly thick fog swallows everything whole. A stranger's silhouette cuts sharply through the grey, a lantern casting a weak, ethereal glow. "Stay close," the stranger says, as Marin's world behind her begins to vanish into the mist. In the fog-shrouded forest, Marin and the stranger venture deeper, the lantern casting eerie shadows on gnarled trees. "How far are we going?" Marin asks, her voice barely a whisper in the unnerving silence. "It began here," the stranger replies. The lantern flares, revealing a glowing symbol on the ancient oak. "That's the mark from my dreams." "Your dreams were memories." Fog swirls around the gnarled roots of an ancient oak, a low hum vibrating through the earth. Marin asks, "What is this place?" The stranger responds, "The boundary, where the fog listens." The stranger lowers their hood, revealing their face as the fog whispers, "Return." In a fog-shrouded clearing, Marin confronts a hooded figure, the mist swirling around them like a shroud. Marin's voice trembles as she recognizes the figure. "You! I know you!" The stranger's reply chills the air. "You knew me before the boundary took you." In the fog-shrouded clearing, Marin's lantern casts eerie shadows as Kale steps closer, his face a mask of pain and regret. "I brought you to the village the night the fog marked you," Kale confesses, his words hanging heavy in the mist-filled air. An ancient oak reveals a glowing symbol carved into its bark, pulsing with eerie light, mirroring the lantern's erratic flicker. In the fog-shrouded clearing, Marin clutches the lantern, its light battling the encroaching mist. Kael steps forward, his voice echoing in the fog. "My name is Kael. I am your brother." Ethereal voices rise from the fog. "Return, return, return." A dense fog chokes the forest, Marin's lantern beam swallowed by the white abyss as Kael looms, a shadowy sentinel. The lantern vibrates wildly in Marin's grip, the light pulsing with an eerie rhythm as a voice whispers, "Child of the boundary." "Who are you?" Marin cries, as Kael shouts a warning. "Marin, listen, don't let it inside your thoughts." The swirling light focuses, revealing a child, its form blurred by mist, standing before Marin. Kael shouts, "Do not touch it," as the child reaches towards the lantern, whispering, "Sister!" Marin gasps, I had a sibling?" As forgotten memories flood back laughter, screams, and an ancient oak, Kale bursts from the fog, seizing Marin's arm with raw urgency as the child's voice echoes, "Return what was taken." A spiraling light pierces the mist, coalescing into an ember between Marin and the child as Kale warns. Not like you think, the ember streaks into Marin's chest. She crumples, her world dissolving into fractured light as Kale cries, "Your memory."
thick white fog turns the forest into a dreamscape as Marin clutches a lantern, its light pulsating rhythmically. Fleeting silhouettes swirl within the lantern's glow as a voice whispers, "Child of the boundary." Marin's voice trembles. "Who's there? Show yourself," as Kael warns. "Marin, listen, don't let it inside your thoughts." Light intensifies, revealing a child reaching for a lantern. Marin freezes, her breath catching in her throat. Kael's urgent warning echoes, "Marin, don't touch it!" A child's voice whispers, "Sister!" A forgotten memory surfaces. I had a sibling? Marin questions, her eyes wide with disbelief. Kael bursts through the thick fog, yanking Marin back sharply as the lantern light flickers wildly, casting eerie shadows. "Not like you think. That thing, it's not..." Kael struggles to explain, his voice strained against the eerie silence. A chilling echo pierces the fog. "Return what was taken." A child's voice whispers from the swirling mist. Marin's body is seized by violent convulsions, her mind flooded with crashing memories in the dark clearing. Kael kneels beside her, his grip tight on her shoulders, fear etched deeply into his face. "Marin, Marin, stay with me," Kael cries, his voice a desperate plea against the night. A younger Marin, hands sticky, stands beneath the ancient oak, fog swirling around her. Beside her, a girl with dark hair and Kael's pale eyes smiles knowingly. "You know me. You named me. You called me Lyra," the girl says, her voice echoing softly. Tendrils of fog clutch at Marin's ankles in the heavy, damp air. Kael's urgent voice cuts through the fog. "Fight it! Don't let her pull you under!" Lyra steps closer, her eyes burning with hungry grief. "You promised you'd never leave me. Now return." Marin collapses, clutching her chest as fragmented memories flood her mind, each one a painful echo in the night. Kael kneels beside her, his voice a desperate plea cutting through the eerie fog. "Marin, Marin, stay with me." The ancient oak flickers with an otherworldly light, mirroring the turmoil within Marin as the fog pulses around them. Beneath the ancient oak, a younger Marin stands, a small, hopeful figure against the massive tree. A smiling child, Lyra, looks up at her. "You know me. You named me. You called me Lyra because it sounded like the song you always hummed." Dread washes over Marin as she remembers. Fog rises, snaking around Marin's ankles as Lyra's eyes gleam with an unsettling hunger. The earth crumbles beneath Marin's feet, a literal and metaphorical fall into darkness. Lyra's voice drips with venom. "You promised you'd never leave me. Now return. Return what you stole." Marin falls into the abyss of her mind, a landscape of swirling fog blurring the line between reality and illusion. Confusion grips her as she struggles to find solid ground in the disorienting expanse. A distorted voice echoes in the distance, the sound of narration, a haunting whisper in the fog. Sunlight drenches the village square, children's laughter echoing through the air, a stark contrast to the present. Young Marin, beaming with joy, skips hand in hand with Lyra as Kael approaches, his youthful face etched with worry. Marin mischievously snatches a glowing orb. Lyra giggles, and Kael warns, "Marin, don't wander near the boundary." The orb flares, its blinding light intensifying the memory as the boundary shimmers violently under an unseen force. A jagged crack splits the earth as inhuman hands emerge, seizing Lyra as she screams, "You stole my spark!" Kael sprints, terror etched on his face, as Lyra is dragged into the abyss. "Give it back!" Marin is transported to a joyous, sun-drenched village square, a vibrant echo of laughter and carefree bartering. She sees her younger self hand in hand with Lyra, their innocence stark against the lively backdrop. A trembling, fog-formed Lyra appears beside Marin, her voice a chilling whisper. "This is the day you stole it." A younger Marin and Lyra stand near the boundary path, an unnatural stillness hanging in the air. Young Kale shouts, his youthful face etched with worry, "Marin, don't wander near the boundary!" Older Marin watches. Horror dawning as fog ominously thickens, swallowing the path as young Marin calls out, "Come get it!" Beneath the ancient oak, Lyra chases Marin, her plea echoing in the frosty air. "Now give it back!" The orb flares, a blinding light consuming Marin's face as ominous fog surges, tendrils reaching like grasping claws. The earth splits as inhuman hands drag Lyra into the abyss, her eyes burning like lantern flames through the fog.
Marin struggles against the fog, a vortex of mist pulling her towards an unseen boundary as she claws desperately at the earth. Lyra's voice echoes, a haunting plea in the night. "Stop fighting, just return it and I can rest." Torn and terrified, Marin cries out, her voice cracking with desperation. "I don't know how." Marin dangles over swirling fog, shadowy figures reaching from the depth. Kale bursts through the mist, grabbing Marin's wrist as she slips. "Let her go! Take me instead! You would trade yourself for her again?" Lyra's voice echoes. Kale shouts, "Focus! The spark give it shape." At the boundary's edge, Marin's resolve hardens as she seizes the lantern, its light reflecting in her determined eyes. "You give it back! The same way you took it," Lyra demands, her voice sharp with urgency. As Marin cries out, a cataclysmic explosion rips through the boundary, shattering the world into blinding white light. "Now, before it takes you," Kale shouts. Dawn breaks over the rain-soaked camp. The first light catches on a lantern's glass as Arden sits, still and thoughtful. Lyra emerges from the tent, her face etched with concern. "You felt it too?" Arden's gaze is distant as he replies, "It's changing, or waking." Lyra kneels by the lantern, fingers trembling near the glass, as a gust of wind whips through the desolate camp. Arden's voice cuts through the night. "But he didn't say what comes after it wakes." Arden points, voice laced with dread. "Lyra, look. Spiral patterns etched in ash mirror the symbol that haunts them. The lantern pulses, the ground quivers, and a strange sound ripples through the air as Arden and Lyra exchange a look of dread. A masked figure emerges from the tree line, a black iron lantern casting a cold blue flame across the camp. The spark has chosen. Arden grips his lantern as Lyra whispers, "No turning back now," their lanterns burning brighter against the encroaching shadows. Under the cloak of night, a masked figure emerges before Arden and Lyra, their faces illuminated by the surreal blue flame. Rain glistens on the leaves as Arden's lantern pulses with a faint silver light, mirroring the quickening of his pulse. "You have carried the spark untested. Now you must prove your right to bear it," the masked figure declares. Sunlight barely touches the forest floor as the masked figure gestures, urgency hanging heavy in the air. Lyra's plea cuts through the rustling leaves. "Give us guidance. We need to know what to do." The masked figure offers the first clue to their salvation. "Take this. It is the first map." The masked figure dissolves, leaving only a shard and the scent of blue flame. Arden's reaching hand finds nothing but air. "So we have a map. But to what end?" Lyra asks, her voice echoing in the silent forest. Arden stares at the shard, the silver flame in his lantern flickering. "To find out why the lantern chose me." In the silent forest camp, Arden studies a shard of metal. faint warmth radiating from its ancient spirals. Lyra watches him, her worry edge deep. Does it make sense to you? Any of it? The shard points west. Not yet, but it feels familiar. That's where the Whispering Hollow begins. A cold wind tears through the forest camp as Arden and Lyra exchange fearful looks, sensing unseen eyes. From the shadows, a monstrous remnant lunges, its eyes burning. Move! Lyra cries, fear sharpening her voice. Arden unleashes the silver flame, searing the remnant. Arden, do it faster! Lyra urges as the creature howls in pain. The remnant attacks! Arden stumbles, but Lyra steps in, knife raised, her eyes blazing with defiance. A silver light explodes from the ridge, blasting the creature back. A cloaked figure stands silhouetted, lantern in hand as Lyra cries. Arden, is that?
Mist shrouds the forest clearing as Arden rises, his lanterns glow a feeble defiance against the spectral fog. Lyra stands poised, knife glinting in the dim light, her gaze sharp with suspicion. Kale emerges from the ridge, lantern beams slicing through the mist, a knowing look on their face. Another chosen. Sunlight paints the forest clearing as Kale gestures towards the shard in Arden's hands, his words laced with urgency. A distant howl shatters the forest's calm, sending a shiver through the leaves and causing Lyra to tense, her eyes darting nervously. Kale's gaze hardens as he warns. Without them, you walk blindly into the place where echoes turn into monsters. Under lantern light, Arden, Lyra, and Kale tread a forest path, the air heavy with damp earth and the scent of ancient trees. Arden halts, suspicion tightening his features as he confronts Kale. Why help us? Kale responds, because yours is the strongest spark I've ever felt, and if you fall, the rest of us fall with you. In the twisted forest, sunlight barely touches Arden, Lyra, and Kale as they venture deeper, the air thick with foreboding. Lyra's unease cuts through the morning calm. I don't like this, Kale warns. This forest is listening, Lyra. Be mindful. Disturbed earth and clawed tracks reveal a recent, ominous presence. Tracks? A pack, Lyra says, her voice barely a whisper. Kale raises a lantern, revealing 5 hunched, unsettling silhouettes at the forest's edge. Echo wolves. Their eyes gleam. They hunt sparks, Kale warns, unleashing silver light. A wolf dissolves into mist. Lyra's knife flashes. The remaining wolves surge forward, their focus locked on Arden, the spark within their lantern flickering. Cornered, Arden raises the shard. It sings, warping the wolves. Kale stares, astonished by the shard's power. Arden unleashes silver fire, tearing apart a wolf. The shard awakened fully for him, Kale says, awestruck. Silence descends as Lyra says, we need to move. The hollow is calling him. A wind whispers through the trees.
Arden, Lyra, and Kale step into a forest clearing, the ground spiraled with pale leaves. Lyra observes that symbol again as the shard vibrates intensely in Arden's grasp. Kale warns, the hollow's mark. We've reached its threshold. Arden says, we're supposed to go in. The forest whispers secrets as Arden fights the voices, hand pressed to his temple, brow furrowed. Lyra's touch grounds him. Arden, focus on my voice, ignore them. Kale warns the hollow was once a sanctuary, Now it reflects the minds of those who enter it. In the forest clearing, Kael raises their lantern high, its light casting eerie shadows as the spiral shivers. Leaves peel away from the ground in a ghostly dance, rising like pale moths caught in an unseen updraft. Lyra's voice trembles. Kael, what's happening? Kael responds, the hollow is opening. Step inside, Arden.
Under the silent, watchful night, Arden, Lyra, and Kael enter a forest clearing, their shadows stretching long in the lantern light. A spiral of pale white leaves covers the ground, an eerie symbol glowing in the darkness as Lyra whispers. That symbol again. Kael's voice cuts through the stillness. The hollow's mark. We've reached its threshold. A chorus of whispers rises in the forest, an unseen force pressing in on Arden as he struggles, his face etched with pain. Lyra's voice cuts through the din, a beacon of clarity amidst the encroaching madness. Arden, focus on my voice. Ignore them, Kael warns gravely. The hollow was once a sanctuary. Entering unprepared will lead to being swallowed whole. In the forest clearing, Kael's lantern stirs the leaves, its light revealing an ethereal spiral as Lyra watches, her eyes wide with alarm. Kael, what's happening? Lyra cries, her voice barely a whisper against the rising wind. Arden steps into the light, his lantern pulsing with his heartbeat, and the world twists. The hollow is opening. Step inside, Arden.
Under a dim moon, Leora stands on Averin Hills, the wind whipping around her, a visible tremor in the air. Clutching her coat, she stares at a distant seam of darkness between two dead oaks, the threshold. A whisper invades her thoughts. Leora, come see. Come remember. Leora floats, unbound by gravity, in a realm where memories flicker like distant stars. Fragments of her past, a stream, a grandmother's touch, mingle with visions of glass dunes and spiraling towers. A child's voice echoes, filled with accusation. You forgot me. You forgot everything beyond the veil. In the threshold realm, a child glides forward, an impossibly long shadow trailing behind her on the ethereal floor. You crossed through the threshold 38 years ago, the child says. You were born here only in body, not in truth. A seam of light shimmers behind Leora, her only path to reality as a voice echoes. Come home!
Leora steps into a threshold, and the world splinters around her. Light and shadow warp into impossible shapes. Pulled forward, she feels the warmth of home fading. A child's voice echoes, you have to choose, Leora. Whispers swirl, a haunting chorus. You belong here. You belong home. The decision looms. Leora stands at the threshold, a fragile scene between darkness and her old life. She remembers the life she lived, the people she loved, and the choices she denied herself. The child waits, a timeless reflection of Leora herself, as the threshold hums beneath her skin. Leora's eyes snap open, resolve hardening her features as a knowing smile plays on the child's enigmatic face. Whispers converge into a single voice as Leora declares, I will not run, but I will not abandon what I remember. As a seam of darkness opens, Leora reaches for the unknown, stepping into a path of her own making.
Leora awakens in the threshold realm, a world bursting with impossible colors and shimmering skies beyond human comprehension. The ground feels like woven starlight beneath her feet, as faint, gentle whispers dance in the air, a symphony of the ethereal. Shadowy figures drift in the distance, pausing to study her, echoes of souls suspended between memory and possibility. From the shadows, a small hand extends, mirroring the child Leora knew. She kneels, her fingers gently meeting the ethereal touch. A ripple courses through the threshold realm, softening the harsh light and dark. Leora whispers, "You're real?" Echo responds, "As real as you make me, and you already." The realm awaits their next step. In the threshold realm, Leora realizes it's a canvas of endless potential. As she rises, echoes transform, and she shapes the space, bending light with a smile. The threshold pulses, sensing her approval as the future awaits as a world to create. Under a starlit sky, Leora steps onto the ground, the world responding to her touch. Colors swirl and solidify beneath her feet as streams of light dance around her fingers. A soft hum fills the air, underscoring Leora's wonder as she explores this new reality. On the threshold, a shimmering figure materializes before Leora, features shifting between human and alien, sparking both apprehension and wonder. Leora's question hangs in the air. "Who are you?" The figure responds, "I am a choice you once denied." Leora extends her hand, light swirling from her fingertips, solidifying the figure. The threshold echoes with the figure's laughter. Leora stands on a hill of starlight, gazing over the threshold. Echoes of possibilities drift towards her, drawn like moths to a flame. "I am its creator, its steward, and its witness," Leora declares, her voice echoing. The station corridor hums with a low, ominous vibration. Kale checks his chronometer. 3:42. In the sterile, dimly lit corridor, Kale's face is a mask of apprehension and resolve. "Pat 42 is active," Kale mutters, his words echoing in the empty space as he heads toward the airlock. Kale enters the threshold chamber. Erratic lights pulse, reflecting off polished floors. The air crackles with unseen memories. Overwhelmed, Kale pauses as whispers swirl around him, echoing decisions and roads not taken. A holographic map unfolds. Streams of light trace countless lives as Com asks, "Do you hear them?" The chamber floor dissolves into pure light as Kale's consciousness fractures, stretching into infinite realities. Fleeting visions assault him, worlds of triumph and ruin. The threshold waits for no one, but it never forgets. Back in the silent chamber, Kale is irrevocably changed, connected to the endless patterns of existence.
Within the threshold station's chamber, pulses of light fracture across the room, casting independent shadows. Lieutenant Kale Anders cautiously enters as the station walls vibrate, the hum growing sharp and insistent. Overwhelmed by the sensory overload, he asks, his voice strained, "Do you hear them?" Kale stands on the pulsing platform. Echoes intensify, demanding choices as the threshold tests him. Glimpses of beautiful and horrifying outcomes merge, sweat beads on his forehead. Pat 43 is not merely observation, it is intervention. Every choice you make here ripples outward. In the threshold station's chamber, Kale is surrounded by shimmering reflections, each a possible self, a choice made or unmade. Light distorts around Kale as he moves, the threshold reshaping itself in response. The threshold has only just begun. Kale collapses, changed. The echoes of countless selves now a part of him, guiding and challenging. Dread and awe mix on his face.
The station shudders. Inside the threshold chamber, the walls of Pat 44 ripple, reflecting the dim, pulsating light around Lieutenant Kale Anders. The floor vanishes beneath him, replaced by an ethereal glow as a tangible presence presses against him. Pat 44 does not forgive. It remembers. A voice whispers, heavy with the weight of forgotten thresholds. Shadows peel away from the chamber walls, twisting into warped reflections of Kale, each a road not taken. The shadows circle him, a cacophony of accusatory whispers filling the air. Kale's fists clench, knuckles white, as a shadow demands, "Who are you if not all that you could have been?" Kale steps onto the platform, his eyes closing as he embraces the chamber's ancient echoes, acceptance molding his features. Shadows and whispers converge, forging a complete self as the chamber vibrates violently. Pat 45 awaits. The echoes subside, leaving Kale alive and trembling in the silence.
Amidst desolate ruins, Dr. Mara Ilvan and her team unearth a thin black slab, Pat 45, from beneath the rubble. The slab hums with a rhythmic pulse. As Mara cautiously touches it, a sense of foreboding hangs in the air. As voices subside, the slab displays Pat 45. Scientists study Pat 45, each experiencing unique phenomena. Childhood songs for Thomas, future warnings for Ren, and profound silence for Mara. They realise PAT 45 isn't recording, but extracting echoes of consciousness, unlocking something deeper. On the 7th day, Pat 45 activates, pale light forming silhouettes. If you cross, you won't return the same. The dark slab hums, projecting. The threshold opens for those who carry unanswered questions. A doorway of fragmented memories shimmers into existence, pulsing with raw energy as Thomas shouts, "Mara, stop!" Mara's translucent echo steps toward the portal, longing etched on her ethereal face.